Have you ever been fired, rehired, and left feeling like your career is in pieces? You're not alone. This video will try uncover and break down the dynamics of a broken career. In some ways, you can rediscover your motivation. Let's go. Hi, I'm Dr. PK, and I'm here to help you grow your tech career or business with the right tools, strategies, and mindset. If this interests you, please subscribe and join the journey. So I have two specific pieces of paper in my hand. On the one hand, both of them, should I say, have different sets of emotions. Each of them puts into question my career choice. On one hand, I have a termination letter dated the 20th of December. If you haven't seen my video, please, where I talk about being terminated, have a look at the video. And recently, literally, on this week, I signed with the same company, or at least the new name of the company. I re-signed a non-binding translation of continuity of employment with the transfer of my employment and me being rehired. So the same company fired me, and a different company, yet the same company, rehired me in a space of a month. So it's quite obvious is that none of this gives me great joy, right? I mean, it's quite clear. And the next question that I ask myself is, why do I feel broken? Why do I mean, being fired, even unfairly, right? I mean, it's not on my doing, feels like a rejection. Feels like, even though it's not personal, it's business, as they say. Even though the rehiring might feel like some form of validation as compared to those who were let go, but it still lets one feel hollow and empty. Oftentimes your confidence takes a hit. You wonder, are you really valued, or is it just a convenience transaction? By the way, if you're navigating career challenges or a need to upskill, I offer personalized technical coaching to help you thrive at work or during interviews. If you have something that interests you in this area, there's the details in the description that comes with this video. So I think when you think about the emotional toil, the losing control over your career is very unsettling, I must say. It's someone who prides themselves in having a very clear-cut career path. The fear of this happening again can really drain one's motivation. You don't really want to apply yourself fully, mainly because, as it says, fool me once, shame on me. Or should I say shame on you, right? Fool me twice, shame on me. So you might question if your efforts are really worth it. Does it really make sense? I mean, just from a Lilium perspective, this is such an amazing company. Or at least the values that it portrayed were incredible. And yet all the effort and the sleepless nights and the flight testing and the sleeping at the airports for some of us who went to Spain and back, if you feel like, man, was it really worth it? Was it worth it? Because it all went down to, a termination letter. So how do one bounces back? Yeah? So now that one has a job again, and there's supposedly a vision that will be formulated in the next months and years, of course, on how to rebuild this new company with these rehired engineers. How does one bounce back and really regain their mojo? I think the one thing that comes to mind is you've got to acknowledge your feelings. It's okay to feel upset. It's okay to feel that your trust has been broken. It reminds me, I think about a week ago, we had a team meeting, and thank goodness for our line manager. He was very open and candid about, just being open. And I did mention that a lot of us, including myself, do feel like trust has been broken. And when trust is broken, I use the analogy of, being beaten up by a bully. And before you can even think about how to handle the beating and just getting off the ground, the bully comes to you and wants to give you a hug and say, I'll never do it again. As much as he hugs you and it potentially means it, man, you feel this sense of, wait a minute, this is the bully that just bullied me. How do I know he will not do it again? So, reflecting and acknowledging your feelings is so important, and everybody goes through it in a different way. And more importantly, there's no one recipe, but there's definitely one principle, which is you gotta deal with your feelings. You gotta deal with the sense of regret, the sense of trust being broken, the sense of money lost, right? A lot of us lost shares, um, you know, equity in a company that went bust, and that's tough. Even though one may say it's just money, but at the end of the day, that money had a dream in a lot of us, in all of our minds. It had a dream of what it could be doing and what it could be unlocking for some of us, who specifically those who come from really poor background. This was a huge aspect regarding the future prospect of what it could be. So all of that has to be rebuilt. The second thing that I would think is important to really get back is to reflect on your goals. Um, I'm a flight control engineer. I've been privileged to have such an amazing career. Over 17 years in this industry in different ways, working on helicopters, missiles, UAVs, commercial aircraft now with Lilium. I've I've been really privileged. But at the same time, you got to think about what's next. What is next? These things do not happen in isolation, and one should really reflect on, what do I want to do next? I mean, I'm secured for now, but is this where I want to be? Is this really what I want to do? Is the technical work just in isolation good enough for a long-term career? That's essentially how I see me reframing my goals, me reframing what I really want, the value system, my core values, and something that I really want to pursue on a personal level. What is it that I really want? And another point that I think is oftentimes understated is seek feedback, right? Get feedback, get input. Understand, where are we going? I think one of the things that a lot of the people who have come back into Lilium, this company that I work for, is they want to know. Everybody's eyes and ears are wide open to want to know, where are we going, and only based on that can one potentially start feeling a sense of regaining trust and motivation. But until then, nothing's for certain, or one could even be as pessimistic and say nothing has actually changed. And that's quite important, and that's natural. It's okay. It's got nothing to do with being pessimistic, or seeing the glass half empty, but it's got a lot to do with just being realistic. Trust has been broken, and for trust to really come back, it's almost like if your wife or your partner were to cheat on you, right? I mean, that trust, to regain that trust, I mean, I wouldn't say it's the same emotional turmoil, but the principle is the same in terms of rebuilding that trust. So seeking input and seeking guidance of what's going on, what's happening, who's doing what, is important, because that will really get you to be plugged in again on something that you can start really caring about. But another point, that through all that, right, and throughout the next few weeks and the next few months, This is really, if you're going through this, leave it in the comments below. What do you think? How have you handled being hired and fired and the emotional turmoil? Because the one other point that I thought about was you got to protect your energy and set boundaries. You gotta figure out how to guard your well-being. Use this time, and I'm using me too, to push personal growth, right? To upskill, to network, to reconnect to your why, what drives you, what motivates you, what makes you tick. And if that's not really aligned anymore, or you don't feel that the feedback that you're getting, which you're seeking, is not really aligned with the discovery that you're making, man, you gotta really note it down. Because unfortunately, a motivated employee is an employee for which their core values and the company's values are aligned. So setting boundaries to really make sure your mental state is guarded and your mental state is at a point where you can plug in again is to really ensure that you focus on you. You focus on why. You focus on what do I want and how will I plug into a field that really makes me excited and motivated. So finally, remember, setbacks don't define your career, right? I have two pieces of paper. One is a feeling of my life is useless, and the other one makes me feel like I am just a number, to be rehired. But at the same time, this is your career. This is our career. This is part of your history. It will forever be part of your history, and so you gotta own it, just like everything else. You gotta grow through it, through introspection, through seeking feedback, through setting boundaries, and through questioning your why and your goals. So you've got to be ready to grow and take charge. And that's really something that I encourage myself and all of you to really think about. So if this has really helped you, just think about how you can grow, how you can really upskill yourself during this tumultuous time. Think about your motivation. Think about what it means to seek feedback, to set boundaries, and to have clear, defined goals. I'm Dr. PK. Thanks again for listening. I'll speak to you on the next one. Ciao.